We've all been here, happily fulfilling our army duties to fight against the enemy, and then our idiot subordinates do something so stupid they put Jeff out of business. What the fuck, Jeff?
What the fuck?
By the end of today's guide, you'll be looking more like a Korean StarCraft pro, commanding their armies, and less like Sir Douglas Haig. I'm going to provide a comprehensive breakdown of every order we can give to our loyal soldiers, and afterwards reveal some strategies that will instantly improve your scorelines in-game. Let's get into it. Let's start with the main function for commanding our unit: contextual commands. Contextual commands are simple and intuitive to use. A single button press will order the squad entirely based on what you are looking at. Looking at the ground or a wall and pressing the order key brings us to our first contextual command: move to and stay. Your soldiers will work their way over and path in the simplest way to where you tell them to move, and then hold that position. Sometimes they will climb through windows if it's reasonable, but other times they will run all the way around a building to its entrances, often getting themselves killed. You should stay aware of this. After reaching their destination, your soldiers will hold a formation and defend that area. Very poorly. They are mostly just going to stand there, with a low chance of killing an enemy that comes close. You mostly want to keep your soldiers in safe, hidden areas and not set them up to defend somewhere. You, yourself, or any soldier you are controlling can move 50 meters away from the location the squad is told to stay. Any further and the order will be cancelled, and the squad will make its way over to your new position and follow you as normal. The next command is the build order. Any engineers other than the one you are controlling will move to the blueprint place and work on constructing it. Any building speed perks will be taken into account. In relation to the build command, we have deconstruct. Any soldier is capable of this, but if you tell an engineer to do it, their building expertise will mean it is accomplished faster. You can tell your squad mates to break apart sandbags, ammo boxes, barbed wire, check hedgehogs, machine gun placements, AT and AA guns. You get XP for this, whilst also dealing with enemy buildings. Additionally, this can also be done to allied buildings, although not rally points. If you put up some sandbags you don't want, tell your squad to help you get rid of them. Now, one way we can move freely from our soldiers holding a position further than 50 meters is by using the capture/defend an objective command. If you aim directly at the objective's icon above it and command the squad, they will take up a location near that, and you can move freely without disrupting that command. They won't take cover smartly around the objective, just huddle around it, so don't expect your soldiers to survive on their own. You can use this more to keep your squad in a place for a small time, while you may be hunting for a rally 70 or more meters away from the objective. Moreover, we have the control vehicle order. Your AI squad will take up position inside the targeted vehicle, fill slots in an allied tank, jump into an APC, jeep or boat. This command gets most used when playing with a friend, I guess. You can help keep their tank fully operating if they lost some of their own soldiers. Furthermore, an extremely useful thing to do is to tell your soldiers to plant or defuse bombs. This way, you can protect them from enemies rather than the terrible opposite. This can be a little finicky to do sometimes. You kinda have to mush your face into the bomb while spamming the order to get them to realise what you're telling them to do. If you have any soldiers with an explosion pack in your squad, you can tell them to attack vehicle, which means they will attempt to destroy the tank or APC etc. that you tell them to. I've never actually tried this myself, as I don't trust them, but maybe you could get use out of it? Give it a go, and if it's awful, let us know in the comments. A particularly niche command we can give is to tell our men to revive that player. Your soldiers will consume a medkit to revive an allied player, much faster than they can pick themselves up. You also get some nice score for doing this. Likewise, we can give the order to revive ourselves whilst downed. You don't get any XP for doing this, of course, but this is faster than reviving yourself if you don't have revive speed perks. Finally, we have the option to hold the command button, which will cancel all current orders. This is useful to just reset your squad's jobs and make them follow you. You could also do this if you told them to deconstruct something you didn't mean to. And that's everything for contextual based commands. I'm fairly sure I haven't missed anything here. Next up we have non-contextual commands that are given by their own keybinds and not related to what we're looking at. Firstly, by holding Alt, we can request ammo. Any soldier can give us a full magazine for our primary weapon, regardless of what they are holding. They materialize it out of thin air, so don't worry about their ammo or anything else. You must have less than 10% of your total ammo pool remaining, either in extra mags or just in the gun. Another alt wheel command is the Heal Me order. A soldier in your squad will consume one of their own medkits to heal you for 3 health. If that soldier has healing perks for medpack effectiveness, you will instead get 6 or 9 health restored. Just as a reminder, each soldier has 10 health by default and 13.5 with the vitality perk. Next, we can hold the prompted key on screen to exit the vehicle alone. This means only the soldier you are controlling will jump out. This keeps the men inside your tank, for example, safe from bullets or outside explosions. You will want to do this when you need to repair the tank and fix the tracks without losing all your men to a single grenade or bomb. If you have a radio man in your squad or are controlling them, the artillery strike command will bring up the map screen and you can choose a location to shell. You can cycle to different types of artillery, such as smoke, rockets, ammo crates, or bombing runs. But these are not available to all squads. You'll find most of those commands in designated radio squads when you've unlocked those upgrades. In the future, the most that a regular radio man outside of radio squads can do will be normal artillery strikes, smoke screens, and requesting an ammo crate drop from a plane. In terms of how we want our soldiers to stand, we have formation style, close, standard and far. I don't have much of a preference here, I just leave this on standard, but if you have found uses for the other options, let me know below. On the other hand, a feature I do use a lot is behaviour, aggressive/passive. A squad set to aggressive will scan the battle for targets and open fire on any enemies they can see after a short delay. They will also react to enemies based on sound. I personally use passive. A passive squad will focus entirely on your commands and not shoot enemies they can see, unless they're being fired at themselves. This choice is up to you, as they both have upsides and downsides. An aggressive squad will probably get more kills, but also they make it their job to be the main character, and sometimes ignore commands to run out from cover and chase enemies. I hate it when they do that, so I keep my guys on passive, so they hold the positions I have told them to, and run into cover when I'm telling them, rather than standing their ground and putting up a bad fight and dying. Lastly, we have the individual soldier order toggle. This setting lets you tell your squad what to do, one at a time. After giving an order, the next soldier is automatically cycled to, ready for the next order. This is an advanced technique, but if you can master it, gives you better control over your squad, which I will explain later. You can also choose to manually cycle to the next soldier by using the correct keybind. You can additionally use a mixture of squad-wide order and individual soldier order, which I will cover in the strategy section soon. Now that we know all of the possible commands we can give to our loyal troops, let's look into some strategies we can use to make the most use out of them. So, your soldiers keep dying, and you want to make use of as many squad members' lives as you can per squad rotation. I recommend that you get into the habit of telling your squad to stay put as soon as you spawn. If this is in cover or a safe area, great. Remember, you can move 50 meters away from them, and essentially use one soldier's life to check if an area ahead is safe or not. After crossing the area, you can tell them to move up to the next safe location. Try and keep it so that your soldiers are not moving with you, only after you. If you take a risk and die, your squad is in a safe location, rather than in the open, and you get that horrible moment of cycling to guys as they die, and your whole squad being wiped out. That's awful, and I hope you can avoid that as best as possible. Next, you've done as I've told, but your squad is being picked off slowly, despite being in what you thought was a safe location? This is a fault of the game's command design. Let me explain. You told your squad to stand at a location. The game then decides where each soldier should stand to maintain sort of a general formation. This is great so far, except Jeff, as we mentioned earlier, is standing out in the open rather than behind the building we told him to stay safe at. An enemy spots Jeff and takes him out. The squad then realizes, there's a spot open here, and so another soldier takes position where Jeff was standing. That guy also dies, because Jeff set a bad example. This is a hilarious tragedy, as you can watch most, if not all of a squad, move out from cover to stand in the open and get killed. So, how can we prevent this? Use individual soldier order. This gives us two main benefits. The soldiers stand exactly where we tell them, rather than spreading out around that place. This means all of them should be in cover, unless we make a mistake. And further, if one of them is visible to an enemy and dies, the other men won't go and stand there, holding their own designated positions. The strategy we can make use of, as I said, is to layer squad commands and individual orders. For example, you can tell your squad to defend the zone, and then tell them to individually actually stand over here. Then, if you move too far away from where you told them to stand individually, that command will break, and they will follow you. But, in this case, we told them to go to the objective as a squad. This command won't break based on the distance, and they will go back to the objective, rather than running through the open to your new location, which is unsafe. My squad paths like idiots and gets themselves killed. Alright, let's see what we can do. The best thing I have found is not to tell them to follow you straight into buildings. I will say that if we are being lazy and not telling the squad what to do, and just leave them to follow us, they will get killed. A lot. It's on us to command them better. Say you're coming up to this building. I'll tell my soldiers to wait outside whilst I climb in through the window. This is a good option, as my soldiers are relatively in cover behind the building, and should be safe-ish whilst I push inside. I can later bring them in if the area is safe, or just swap to another guy and manually bring him inside through the window. It all depends on the situation. Please keep in mind that your squad will never be 100% safe. We can only do our best to improve their odds. Explosions, snipers, even a player hunting them down can always happen. Remember, you need to keep the task for your soldiers as simple as possible. One user was frustrated that their AI took weird paths that put them in more danger than the path they were running themselves. Try and keep the distance the AI need to go as short as possible. Move them along with you to safe locations. Tell them exactly which safe location you want them to go to. Avoid telling your squad to capture or defend objective from more than like 20 meters away. This will cause them to pathfind based on their current location and take into account a bunch of other factors. If you break that path up into smaller chunks, they will run directly where you want them. Defending a building or objective and want to make it as hard as possible for an attacker to clear out your squad from the building? You can quickly make use of individual soldier order to tell your men to stand in different rooms, on different floors, or behind different pieces of cover. You won't be able to move far out of the building, but if you're hard committed to protecting an area, this makes it a lot easier for you to defend. If you die and swap to another guy, you can take the fight again, and your enemy will have no idea where to look for the next soldier, or where you will appear from subsequently. Last but not least is a minor technique we can apply to increase our squad's effectiveness. When you mark a location with a red ping, your squad automatically responds to this, and will watch that general direction. This isn't permanent, but pinging will keep your soldiers a bit more alert in the short term. You can also bind this to the same key you shoot with, which will ping everywhere you shoot at. This is useful as you and allies can see the locations of enemies you spotted, shot but maybe didn't kill, or where an entire squad is, and your AI will also take a bit more notice of that area. And that's all you need to know in order to be the best squad leader you can be and achieve Korean StarCraft macro level of commanding AI. At least, as close as we can be with the system we have. Got any other ideas or tips for how to use the AI soldiers? Drop a comment for others to see and share the knowledge. Thank you so much for watching. As always, the links to all my socials are in the description. Hope you have a nice day and see you next time.